Will Smith's Oscar win for King Richard, 2021, was well-deserved in terms of the dedication he brought to the role of Richard Williams, father to tennis legends Venus and Serena. However, many fans and film critics agree that Smith should have taken home the Academy Award much earlier in his career. His powerful performances in Ali, 2001, and The Pursuit of Happiness, 2006, showcased emotional range and nuance that arguably eclipsed his portrayal in King Richard. While his win came during a controversial Oscars ceremony, it also felt like a makeup award rather than recognition for a career-defining performance. Smith has long been considered one of Hollywood's most bankable stars, and his legacy spans genres from action to heartfelt drama. Still, many believe The Pursuit of Happiness was the role that truly earned him Oscar gold. Copyright Warner Bros. Pictures. Leonardo DiCaprio's long-awaited Oscar win came with The Revenant, 2015, a physically grueling and visually stunning survival epic. Yet, many cinephiles argue that this performance, while intense, lacked the emotional depth of earlier roles like The Aviator, 2004, Blood Diamond, 2006, or The Wolf of Wall Street, 2013. DiCaprio delivered career-defining performances years before The Revenant, and the Academy's delay felt like they were finally checking a box rather than rewarding his most deserving work. His portrayal of Howard Hughes in The Aviator remains one of his most complex and transformative roles. While The Revenant gave him the statue, it may not have been the film that truly captured the best of his talents. Copyright 20th Century Fox. Alicia Vikander won Best Supporting Actress for The Danish Girl, 2015, but many critics questioned both the category placement and whether this was her most award-worthy role. Vikander was essentially a co-lead in the film, making her supporting classification seem like strategic Oscar politics. More importantly, her performance in Ex Machina, 2015, as the eerily sentient AI Ava was arguably more groundbreaking, nuanced, and culturally resonant. Ex Machina earned her critical acclaim and showcased a level of subtlety that's often harder to reward but impossible to forget. Her win for The Danish Girl felt more like a nod to her breakout year rather than a celebration of her most compelling work. Copyright Focus Features. Julianne Moore finally won her long-overdue Oscar for Still Alice, 2014, portraying a linguistics professor grappling with early-onset Alzheimer's disease. While her performance was heartbreaking and undeniably strong, Moore had delivered even more iconic roles in films like Boogie Nights, 1997, Far From Heaven, 2002, and Magnolia, 1999. Her decades-long career has been marked by emotional authenticity and range, making the Still Alice win feel like a cumulative reward rather than one for her best work. Many fans felt her performance in Far From Heaven, a complex depiction of 1950s repression, was the kind of tour de force that deserved the Oscar. Nonetheless, Moore remains one of Hollywood's most consistently brilliant actresses. Copyright Sony Pictures Classics. Jennifer Lawrence's Oscar win for Silver Linings Playbook, 2012, came early in her career and was met with both praise and skepticism. While she brought charisma and emotional rawness to the role of Tiffany, many felt the award was premature, especially considering the incredible performances that followed. Her work in Winter's Bone, 2010, arguably deserved the Oscar more, portraying a teenager navigating poverty and danger in the Ozarks with subtle power and restraint. Some also point to her role as Katniss Everdeen in the Hunger Games series as a culturally defining moment. Although Silver Linings Playbook was a crowd pleaser, it may not have showcased the full depth of her acting prowess the way her earlier or later roles did. Copyright The Weinstein Company. Daniel Day-Lewis' portrayal of Abraham Lincoln in Lincoln, 2012, was a masterclass in immersive acting, earning him a historic third Oscar for Best Actor. While the performance was undeniably strong, some argue that this win overshadowed what may be his greatest role, Daniel Plainview in There Will Be Blood, 2007. That film showcased an emotionally volatile and complex character, and though Day-Lewis did win for it as well, many believe Lincoln was not his most challenging or dynamic performance. In a career filled with transformative roles, Gangs of New York, 2002, as Bill the Butcher is another contender that could have earned him gold. While his win for Lincoln cemented his legacy, it didn't necessarily reflect the peak of his abilities. Copyright Touchstone Pictures, DreamWorks Pictures. Meryl Streep's long-overdue third Oscar came for her performance as British Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher in The Iron Lady, 2011. While she skillfully captured Thatcher's mannerisms and voice, many fans and critics felt the film itself was weak, and the award was more of a career tribute than a recognition of this specific role. Streep has delivered numerous more memorable and emotionally resonant performances, particularly in Sophie's Choice, 1982, Doubt, 2008, and The Devil Wears Prada, 2006. The emotional depth and subtle power of Doubt, in particular, was considered a masterwork. Though The Iron Lady added another accolade to her incredible resume, it may not have been the film where she truly shone brightest. Copyright 20th Century Fox. Sandra Bullock won her first Oscar for playing Leigh Anne Toohey in The Blind Side, 2009, a feel-good drama that captured the hearts of many. While her performance was solid and spirited, it didn't quite rise to the level of complexity seen in her other roles. Critics have often pointed to her transformative performance in Gravity, 2013, as a stronger case for Oscar gold. In Gravity, Bullock carried the film almost entirely on her own, portraying a deeply emotional and physically intense journey of survival. Though The Blind Side was more traditionally Oscar-friendly, many cinephiles agree that her acting in Gravity or even Crash, 2004, showed far more depth. Copyright Warner Bros. Pictures. Jeff Bridges finally won his Oscar for Crazy Heart, 2009, where he played a washed-up country musician battling addiction and regret. While the performance was heartfelt and authentic, many considered it a career achievement win rather than his finest acting display. His earlier work in The Contender, 2000, and especially The Big Lebowski, 1998, offered more iconic and layered portrayals that have endured longer in pop culture. Bridges brought the dude to life in a way few actors could replicate, crafting a character who became a cultural touchstone. While Crazy Heart gave him his long-overdue Oscar, it might not be the film that best defines his storied career. Copyright Fox Searchlight Pictures. Kate Winslet's Oscar win for The Reader, 2008, was met with some criticism, not for her performance, which was strong, but for the timing and film selection. Many felt her best work had already come in roles like Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, 2004, Titanic, 1997, and Revolutionary Road, 2008, which was released the same year. In Revolutionary Road, she gave a raw, emotionally devastating performance alongside Leonardo DiCaprio that many considered more Oscar-worthy than her turn in The Reader. Some also felt the film's controversial subject matter detracted from the performance itself. Winslet is one of the most respected actresses of her generation, but The Reader may not have been her strongest showcase. Copyright The Weinstein Company. Tilda Swinton won her first Academy Award for Best Supporting Actress in Michael Clayton, 2007, portraying a high-powered yet morally conflicted corporate lawyer. While her performance was razor-sharp and chillingly effective, many cinephiles argue that this wasn't her most compelling role. Swinton has delivered more haunting and layered performances in films like We Need to Talk About Kevin, 2011, where she portrayed a mother struggling with guilt, grief, and emotional isolation. That role showcased a depth and emotional gravity that Michael Clayton barely scratched the surface of. Swinton's fearless approach to unconventional roles is what truly defines her brilliance as an actress. Copyright Warner Bros. Pictures. Morgan Freeman finally received his Oscar for Best Supporting Actor in $1 Million Baby, 2004, playing the role of Eddie "Scrap Iron" Dupree, a retired boxer turned gym assistant. While his calm, grounded presence was undeniably effective, many believe Freeman should have won earlier for roles that showcased his full emotional range. His powerful portrayal in The Shawshank Redemption, 1994, as Red is considered by many to be one of the most iconic performances in cinema history. Another missed opportunity was Driving Miss Daisy, 1989, where he delivered subtle brilliance as Hope Colburn. While $1 Million Baby earned him overdue recognition, it wasn't his career peak. Copyright Warner Bros. Pictures. Cate Blanchett's Oscar win for playing Katharine Hepburn in The Aviator, 2004, was a classic example of honoring technical precision. While she perfectly mimicked Hepburn's voice and mannerisms, some critics argue that it felt more like an impressive impersonation than a deeply lived-in performance. Blanchett's work in Blue Jasmine, 2013, for which she later won Best Actress, is widely seen as more emotionally raw and transformative. Some fans also point to her intense, unsettling role in Carol, 2015, as one of her finest. Although The Aviator brought her first Oscar, her more complex performances came later, making that win feel slightly misplaced in the grand scope of her career. Copyright Warner Bros. Pictures. Denzel Washington won his second Oscar, and his first for Best Actor, for his electrifying role in Training Day, 2001. His portrayal of the corrupt and volatile Alonzo Harris was unforgettable, but many believe this win was more about breaking a streak of overdue recognition than celebrating his best work. Washington's deeply moving performance in Malcolm X, 1992, directed by Spike Lee, is still considered one of the greatest biopic portrayals in film history. Other standouts like Glory, 1989, and The Hurricane, 1999, also had stronger emotional arcs and greater historical significance. Training Day was intense, but it may not represent the pinnacle of Washington's artistry. Copyright Warner Bros. Pictures. Brad Pitt took home his first acting Oscar for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, 2019, where he played the cool, enigmatic stuntman Cliff Booth. The performance was laid back, charming, and well executed, but arguably not the most demanding of Pitt's career. Many believe he was more deserving for his emotionally raw role in Moneyball, 2011, or his transformative performance in The Curious Case of Benjamin Button, 2008. Even 12 Monkeys, 1995, where he fully immersed himself in a manic, unpredictable character, showcased greater range. While his win was a fan favorite, it felt more like a nod to his longevity and charisma than his deepest acting achievement. Copyright Sony Pictures Releasing. Joaquin Phoenix won his long-anticipated Oscar for Best Actor for his chilling performance in Joker, 2019, a dark, gritty reimagining of the iconic Batman villain. While the role was physically and emotionally demanding, and his transformation was remarkable, many fans argue that Phoenix delivered even stronger performances in earlier films. Her, 2013, where he played a lonely man falling in love with an AI, and The Master, 2012, a layered portrayal of post-war trauma and cult influence, showcased far more complexity and subtlety. Joker was bold and disturbing, but some feel it leaned more on intensity than nuance. The Oscar felt overdue, but perhaps not for this specific film. Copyright Warner Bros. Pictures. Al Pacino finally won an Oscar for Scent of a Woman, 1992, after years of being overlooked, but even he has admitted it wasn't his strongest work. His portrayal of the blind, abrasive Colonel Slade was certainly charismatic, but critics and audiences alike have long felt the Academy missed their chance to honor him for The Godfather, 1972, Serpico, 1973, Dog Day Afternoon, 1975, or Scarface, 1983. Those roles were groundbreaking, emotionally layered, and defined entire eras of cinema. His win for Scent of a Woman felt like a consolation prize for an overdue legend rather than a reward for his peak performance. Copyright Universal Pictures. Whoopi Goldberg's Oscar-winning role in Ghost, 1990, gave the world one of the most beloved comedic side characters in film history, but many critics argue she should have already won years earlier. Her performance in The Color Purple, 1985, was deeply moving, nuanced, and carried the emotional weight of an entire generation's story. While Ghost allowed Goldberg to showcase her charm and impeccable comedic timing, The Color Purple proved her dramatic range in a role that continues to resonate decades later. Her Oscar win was well-deserved, but it likely came for the wrong movie. Copyright Paramount Pictures. Jeremy Irons won the Oscar for Best Actor for Reversal of Fortune, 1990, where he played the cold and calculating Klaus von Bülow in a chilling, detached performance. While technically excellent, many felt the role didn't fully reflect Irons's dramatic depth. His haunting work in Dead Ringers, 1988, where he portrayed twin gynecologists with starkly different personalities, was widely considered more deserving. That film demanded emotional range, psychological complexity, and intense transformation, elements not fully tapped in Reversal of Fortune. Though the win cemented his status, it may not have honored his finest artistic moment. Copyright Warner Bros. Pictures. Henry Fonda's Oscar for On Golden Pond, 1981, was as much a recognition of a legendary career as it was an award for the performance itself. While he gave a touching portrayal of an aging father reconciling with his family, many critics and historians argue that Fonda should have won decades earlier. His roles in The Grapes of Wrath, 1940, and 12 Angry Men, 1957, were foundational to American cinema and showcased a moral gravity and leadership that defined his screen persona. On Golden Pond was a lovely final act, but it wasn't the role that best captured Fonda's immense talent. Copyright Universal Pictures.